Welcome to another edition of BHS-TV News. My name is Jackson Bragman, and this is my Dress to Impress co-host, Reese Bedness.
This month, we have a feature on how to keep your pet safe this summer, a great edition of Abel's Academy, parking lot thoughts, and so much more.
This week's NBA draft lottery left Detroit Pistons fans disappointed, as after holding the worst win-loss record in the NBA last season, the Pistons drew the 5th overall pick in the NBA draft, the lowest spot possible for them. In a strong draft class, the Pistons will likely still get a good player with the 5th pick, but they will miss out on 7'5" freshman Victor Wembanyama, who will surely be selected first overall by the lottery-winning San Antonio Spurs.
With the weather warming up outside, BHS-TV News' Matthew Paul headed to the DePore Veterinary Hospital to ask how pet owners can keep their pets safe and happy this summer.
Almost half of all American households own a dog. Dogs provide joy, companionship, and a sense of belonging for many people. Nevertheless, summer presents many challenges in this regard. I'll be interviewing Jessica, a licensed veterinary technician, about the ins and outs of dog care during the summer.
Hi there, I'm Jessica. I'm a licensed veterinary technician here at DePore Veterinary Hospital. I've worked here for 9 years. I've been a licensed technician for 8 years. Always knew I wanted to work with animals. Found out kind of about this field a little later into my college career, but I'm glad I found it, and it's definitely what's right for me. Love working here at DePore. We take great care of our pets, and a lot of people in this community also love their pets and will do everything and anything for them. Some things that you can do this summer to keep your pets safe is to make sure that they're on monthly heartworm preventative and especially flea and tick preventative with this warmer weather. Those guys are really active out there. As you may know, ticks can carry tick-borne diseases. Fleas can be a nuisance, not quite as dangerous as ticks, but they can carry some nasty intestinal parasites as well, keeping them up to date on vaccines like rabies, leptospirosis. A lot of wildlife, especially deer, they can kind of become protective of their young during this time of year. It's not uncommon that we see dogs come in here with injuries that they've sustained while a mother deer is protecting their young. So before you go letting your dogs out, if you have deer in your backyard, make sure you check your yard, make sure that they're not out there because they can get hurt. In the summer months, people are really active with their pets. Heat can be a big thing for a lot of dogs, especially English bulldogs, French bulldogs, any breeds that have the really short face muzzles like that. So heat strokes can happen. They're very scary. They can happen to any breed really, but those are kind of the more common breeds it may happen to. Any old dogs, things like that. So be careful when the temperature is above about 70 degrees. They can tire out really easily and overheat. Obviously, you want to be careful with pets in cars. If you're out running errands, things like that, just maybe it's best if they stay at home.
Keeping your dog safe and healthy is an imperative responsibility for all dog owners. Doing so will ensure the greatest quality of life for you and your canine friend. Stay safe and healthy, everyone. This is Matthew Paul with BHS-TV News.
On this week's edition of Abel's Academy, Abel Duchateau told us about one of his favorite hobbies.
Drums are some of the oldest instruments in the world. Some of the first drums originated over 7,000 years ago. Although the design and product has changed a lot over time, the function and use of the drums is largely the same. Drums are a pretty simple instrument and concept. Basically, all you gotta do is hit stuff. But depending on the type of drum that you're using, you'll have to hit it with either hands or sticks made for this purpose. Another thing people don't really realize about the drums is how loud they can get. Drums can reach decibels as high as 130, which is comparable to a jet engine taking off. Also, drums can get very expensive. A good quality entry-level set will cost between $700 to $1,000. That's not even mentioning the recurring items that you have to purchase to keep your drum kit up and running. These items can include sticks, of course, which will range between $10 to $30, and heads, which will cost anywhere between $20 and $50 on the low end. All of these costs drive the global drum market, which in 2021 was valued at $10.8 billion, with an expected growth rate of 7.7% in the next decade. To give us a tour of a drum set is drummer and friend of the show, Abel Duchateau. Take it away.
Wow, Abel, thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. Like you said, I'll be giving you a tour of what a modern drum set looks like, so buckle up. First up, we got the bass drum. It's also known as the kick because of the pedal action needed to make the sound. Next, we got the toms. These are basically smaller kick drums we hit with our sticks. The lowest one is the floor tom, then there's the mid tom, and then the high tom. Here's the snare drum. The snare is different from the toms because of the small chains touching the bottom side of the drum. This gives it a unique sound. Moving on to the cymbals, we have the hi-hat. This cymbal has the ability to be open and closed, giving it different notes and little accents to the beat. Next, we have the crash cymbal, which, surprisingly, sounds like a crash. And then finally, there's the ride cymbal. The ride has a very unique sound due to the size and thickness of the metal, causing it to have a much lighter and drier sound than the crash and the hi-hat. With this setup, you play the drum beat that almost every drum beat in the world is based off of. It goes by many names due to the popularity and the amount of songs it's been in, but I just call it the #1 beat. It goes like this. As you can see, it's pretty easy. All you really need is a little hand-eye coordination. You do a lot of things to that beat to make it unique to each song. This is the setup that I have. Other drum kits can get really big and even smaller than what I got, but this is what works for me in my non-existent budget.
Wow. Thanks, Abel. And this wraps up this episode of Abel's Academy. Till next time, happy drumming.
Marvel's latest blockbuster, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, hit theaters last week, and it's been a smashing success. The final installment of the trilogy has raked in almost $600 million so far. You can still see Star-Lord, Gamora, and of course Groot in theaters now to stay up to date on the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Speaking of summer blockbusters, BHS-TV's Max Smith previewed the most anticipated films of the next few months.
The Barbie movie?
Oh, Barbie.
John Wick.
I went around the halls of the hills with Apollo to see what movies the BHHS student body was excited to see. A good majority of the students were very amped up to see the new Barbie movie, starring Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling. And the Super Mario Bros. Movie, which features Jack Black and Chris Pratt. However, these are not the only movies to look forward to in the upcoming year 2023. There are a plethora of movies from The Little Mermaid, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, The Hunger Games, and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. With a bunch of different genres, there's a movie for everyone. The student favorite, Super Mario Bros., has a gross income of $871 million, which as of right now is the highest gross income movie of 2023, but is expected to surpass $1 billion within the spring and summer. However, the Barbie movie is expected to hit $31 million within the opening weekend, which is airing July 21st this summer. Looks like we're expected to have a great summer at the cinema.
The BHHS Theater Department impressed this year with their productions of Newsies and Spelling Bee, so Mohammed Al-Majoun and Anthony Doria profiled the BH International Thespian Society to see what these talented performers are all about.
BHS-TV News, I'm here with Mrs. Brogret, the theater director here at Bloomfield High School. So my first question for you is, how long has this club been around for?
We have had the ITS club even before I came. It started 3 years before me, so Bloomfield Hills High School has had a troupe for 8 years now. We do everything. So in the club, this club sponsors our haunted theater. They create the pathway, and we make it different every year just in case we have repeat customers, which we usually do. They create the rooms.
So how many members do you currently have?
We have 78 current thespians, but we have a lot of students that do theater that have other activities, so they just haven't applied to be full-out thespians. We meet Monday mornings. The board meets more. We have an elected board. It's a great club. It's not a normal club, though. When we meet, sometimes we're together for 12 hours. So it's not a hour each week kind of club.
Anthony Dory for BHS-TV News, signing off.
This week was Senior Honors Night at the high school. 179 Bloomfield Hills High School seniors took the stage of the auditorium to be recognized for their outstanding academic careers.
Students with at least 3.75 unweighted GPAs were honored, having their names and accomplishments read aloud by their counselors. Congrats to all of the seniors honored for their academic excellence throughout high school.
To close out the show, we're in for a treat. Let's see Jackson's final edition of Parking Lot Thoughts of the 2022-2023 school year.
BHS-TV News Parking Lot Thoughts here with Reese Bedness. Reese, what is your favorite podcast?
Well, you know, a lot of people would say Joe Rogan or the Full Send podcast, but I think at the end of the day, the best podcast out there is the Bragman Breakdown.
Well, Jackson, I'm not too into podcasts myself. I'm more of the extreme bird watching type. But there's this podcast out. It's a crazy podcast, the Bragman Breakdown. I've heard he's got some great stuff, and when I hear it, it really gets me going.
Thank you, Jackson.
Thank you, Jackson.
Ollie, what is your favorite podcast?
Can I say This Past Weekend by Theo Vaughn?
Well, hold on, Matthew, cut.
I really love the Bragman Breakdown.
Very good answer. Ollie, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, you know, I have a friend. His name is Jackson, and I'm pretty sure he makes this radio podcast. It's called the Bragman Breakdown. It's really good. You guys should all listen to it.
Good choice. Thank you for your time, Cameron.
Thank you.
Impulsive.
What's your favorite podcast?
Probably the Bragman Breakdown podcast.
Wow, we've gotten that one a lot today. It's just kind of bizarre, but okay. Well, I mean, he's speaking his truth. So yeah, thank you for your time, Hayden.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
BHS-TV News Parking Lot Thoughts with BHS-TV News advisor, Mrs. Tier. Mrs. Tier, what is your favorite podcast?
Come on, Jackson, stop asking me this question.
Mrs. Tier, what's your favorite podcast?
No, I will not answer it.
Mrs. Tier, we had it all planned out. What's your...
It just seems like selfish promotion. I can't do it.
Please?
Bragman Breakdown.
And with that, we conclude this month's edition of BHS-TV News. If you have questions or suggestions for us, feel free to send us an email at bhstvnews@bloomfield.org. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at BHSTVNews and on Instagram at bhstv.news.
Thanks for a great year, everyone. We here at BHS-TV News are wishing all of our viewers a great last month of school. I'm Reese Bedness.
And I'm Jackson Bragman. Thank you for watching. So now we...